Hi, good afternoon. As what I have promised you, I will be providing a summary of our lessons in facilitating learner-centered teaching. I will not be going to discuss very deeply, but what I'll be providing you is more of review because, as I said, you will be having your exam for this subject. So, I'll be discussing the outline. I will be providing some tips on how to use the theories and principles in facilitating learner-centered teaching. So first, here is our outline. I'll talk briefly on metacognition, novice versus expert learner, development theories and application to classroom settings, and learner-centered teaching. That refers to the LCPPs or learner-centered psychological principles. Okay, metacognition, very briefly, we say about it is all about thinking about thinking. How do you think? How do you solve your problems? Very briefly, when we say thinking about thinking, how do you learn? It is also similar to how do you learn. With your course and with your subject, facilitating learner-centered teaching, how did you learn? How did you put everything in place? Okay? You know, person variables, when we talk about metacognition, we talk about person variables, task variables, and strategy variables. So when we talk of person variables, we refer to what? You knowing what are your capacities. How do you plan your work? Where are you weak at? Where are you strong at? Okay? Now, as a person, you should know, are you very good at mathematics? Are you good at English? Are you good at speaking or writing or singing or dancing? Okay, so that refers to the person variables. How about task variables? You should know how long will it take you to complete a task. Okay, now you have so many tasks in this subject. As we listed, there are 6 assignments that you need to comply with aside from the exams that you will be doing. You have your, and in all those 6 assignments, those are not simple assignments. You need to study, you need to make a research, no? And as an lending hand to you, I provided videos, I provided articles. The links of these articles and videos are provided to you such that you will be able to comply with the requirements on time. Okay? So, how long for assignment 1? What do you think? Or how did you plan your work? Did you have your did you make your calendar of activities? Day 1, day 2, day 3. At this time, how are you going to how long are you going to work on your task? No? So that's task variables. You have to know this because otherwise you will not be able to comply with the requirements on time. So you should know, preparing a lesson plan will take me 3 hours. So you have to set 3 hours for that. No? So knowing the task or knowing how long the task will take you to complete is a very good help to you. Okay? Then we go to strategy variables. Strategy variables just talks about, do you know the strategies that you are going to use? So for example, you don't know so much of this topic, of a certain topic, so what strategy are you going to do? I provided you a link, I provided you videos, no? And yet, you seem not to, these are still hazy to you, or these are still vague to you. So what strategy are you going to use? You have your, maybe you have your friend who just graduated from teacher education program. And so one of your strategies could be ask the help of your friend or ask the help of your teacher. You can send a message and ask for more explanation or more clarification. Okay? So it's very important as a teacher to be, it is very important that you know how to think about thinking. You should know how to, you should be able to know how to learn. Huh? How to learn. It's just like when you like to drive a motorcycle, you know that sa person variable, you know that you do not know how to drive motorcycle. So what are you going to do? Task variables. How long are you going to know this? Or before you know how to drive the motorcycle? Siguro it will take me mga 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours. So what strategy are you going to use? So I will ask a friend to teach me how to drive a motorcycle. Okay? Now let's move. Theories in support of learner-centered teaching. In your in the list that I gave you, these theories are classified to cognitive, social learning theories, and constructivist theories. So I have provided you videos on this, and I hope you have watched all of this and read the articles, no? So in summary, cognitive theories cognitive theories seek to explain how the mind works during the learning process. Okay? How do children learn? How do children learn with their lessons? How do children learn about the environment? So cognitive theorists, and one of the proponent of this cognitive development theory is Jean Piaget. And you already know that according to Jean Piaget, there are 4 developmental stages, no? And in summary, he believed that while changes behavior occur, because learning, as we know, there is learning when there are changes in behavior. Okay? The cognitivist attributes these changes to specific mental processes. So it's more about the cognition or how they think. Okay? So, like computer, the mind takes in information, processes that information, then uses that information to produce learning outcomes. So, the IPT or the information processing theory compares our mind to a computer where there is encoding. Okay? There is encoding, you encode the data. So when you think, you encode, you register in your mind. No? Then, what follows next is, you save what you have encoded. Okay? And then there is a time for retrieval. You go back to your work, then you open your cell phone or you open your computer, you expect that what you have encoded there is stored and this can be retrievable. You can retrieve it. You can continue with your work. You don't start all over again. Okay? So, IPT falls also under the cognitive theories. What else? Central to the cognitive approach is the understanding that individuals must participate actively in the learning process. So you, as a learner, you don't need to be passive. You have to be what? Active. That's why in your facilitating learning subject, you do most of the work. I guide you as the instructor. I guide you. I provide linkages. I provide articles for you. And so you have to be active in learning. It's not the teacher who will be feeding everything, no? Feeding the information, everything. But you have to participate actively. Okay? Do not, stages of cognitive development determine the learner's ability to understand abstract, complex concepts. Okay? Now, let's move on. This is now the cognitive information information processing cognitivism. So I have discussed this beforehand. Now let's look at this. Cognitive information processing is used when the learner plays an active role in seeking ways to understand and process information that he or she receives and relate it to what is already known and stored within memory. So, cognitive learning theories are credited to Jean Piaget. Actually, later on, the other theorists had their other ideas, but also linked to cognitive development theory. Okay? Next. What happens in the cognitive learning development, or cognitive development learning? Cognitive learning theories believe learning occurs through internal processes or processing of information. So unlike behaviorism, that's Pavlov, Thorndike, and Skinner, because these three, Pavlov, Thorndike, and Skinner, they are behaviorists. They are not cognitivists. They believe in behaviorism. So, what's the difference? Cognitive information, according to the cognitive development theorists, cognitive information processing is governed by internal process rather than by external circumstance. Because behaviorists believe in external circumstances. They believe that learners need to be conditioned. Meron tayong classical conditioning. Meron tayong operant conditioning. You have learned this in your child development or CAD, child and adolescent development. And so, kailangan pa may reward bago mag-aral ang bata or matuto ang bata. But in cognitive development theory, they believe that it has to, the learner has to process things in his or in her mind. So the cognitive approach to learning theory pays more attention to what goes on inside the learner's head or mind and focuses on mental processes rather than observable behavior. So changes in behavior are observed and used as indicators as to what is happening inside the learner's mind. Okay? So, we should expect our learners to be able to organize the experiences, gaining new insights, and or changing old ones. Thus, learning is a change in knowledge which is stored in memory and not just a change in behavior. So it's in the mind. That's why in your activities, I ask you to identify who are the proponents, what is the theory, who is or who are the proponents, and what are the highlights, and the last column there is what are the applications to that in the classroom. Because it's not only, you should not only know who, what, but you should know the deeper meaning of that theory, especially on the application of that theory or such theories in the classroom setting. Okay, so here now are the examples of applications of cognitive learning theory. Classifying or chunking information. So, when you ask your learners to present or to recite a poem, you don't expect them to recite all at once or memorize all at once. You suggest to them that they have to memorize by stanzas. So, chunking information or classifying information. Just like what we did. We classified first the theorists, cognitivists, social learning theories, constructivism theory, So, naka-classify siya para mas madali nating matandaan. Link concepts or associate new content with something known. When you present your lesson, you may start by saying, okay class, yesterday we talked about No? So you have to link the information, the new lesson, to what you know is already known by your students. When your lesson is all about earthquake, so you say, class, who has experienced an earthquake? Or who can share among you his or her experience on earthquake, or having experience or an earthquake, no? Okay, providing structure. So organize your lecture in efficient and meaningful ways. So you can provide the practical application of this, because this will help them understand the lesson easier. Okay? Real world examples. You provide real world examples. So if you are teaching mathematics, maybe you start with preschool addition. So you have to have your objects. Anong pwede mong objects? Popsicle sticks. Let's say, what else? Balls. You can use balls. Okay, discussions. Discussions because you want them to be actively participating. Problem solving. Problem solving. Give them examples, no? For the problem solving, so that they will be, their mind will be developed to think. Okay? Dapat maging critical thinker. Analogies or similarities, no? Imagery, providing pictures. Imagery, let them imagine. Okay? Or if you let them draw, okay? Then you can provide pictures. And then mnemonics. What are mnemonics? One example of mnemonics is that if you cannot memorize what months have 31 days, so you can use your knuckles. Okay, your knuckles. So all those knuckles, you assign that to months with 31 days. So you say January, that's 31, that month has 31 days. Tapos sa baba nito, February, okay? March, 31 days. Then another, April, 30 days lang. May, 31 days. June, 30 days. Ito, sa baba. Then, July, 31 days. Then, pagbalik, July, what's next? August. August, 31 days. August, September, 30. October, 31, and so on. No? November and December. Okay? That's one example of mnemonics.